On Saturday, 21 years of London's theatre history comes to a close when the Royal Shakespeare Company gives its last performance at the Aldwych. Then the company will be moving to its new home at the £150 million Barbican Centre, where it'll be giving its first performance in May. But already there are financial problems. The company says it can't manage on its present grants of £3 million from the Arts Council, even though that represents a 17.5% increase on last year. A report from Alan Hargreaves.
This is the Barbican Theatre, the new home of the Royal Shakespeare Company. They're moving here from the Aldwych after 21 years. It's been years in the planning and in the building. What will the move to the Barbican mean to the company?
It will mean that we shall be going from a place which has been very friendly to us and very good for us, but to a place which is much more comfortable, much more open, much more intimate, much more alive, better, in fact, for theatre. Above all, a place which is going to look after our staffs better, who will be able to work in conditions which are much easier, and serve our public better in that we can run a 5 to 6 play repertoire each week.
It was in 1960 that the RSC moved down to London. And this is the Aldwych, just off the Strand, home of the Royal Shakespeare Company in London for over 21 years. What have those past years been like?
I probably have a quite unique memory of it, in that I was married from here. Mm-hmm. We were doing Twelfth Night, and the night before we were married, I had to perform Twelfth Night here, and there was a wonderful party in the interval, which perhaps wasn't a terribly wise thing to do. And also, when I got in the evening for the performance, the company had decorated the whole of the corridor leading to the dressing room and the dressing room. And after the party too, as I walked forward for my call, it was Viola, the company threw confetti. So, and then 3 days later, I was back here doing it again.
The Wars of the Roses, yes, that was a hell of a moment, because Peter Hall had the villainous idea of doing all 3 plays. We called them Henry VI, Edward IV, and Richard III, doing them all on one day. That meant we had to be here at 8:30 in the morning, because the curtain went up at 10 o'clock, and came down at 1:20. In the afternoon, Edward IV started, and I and several of my colleagues died during the afternoon. But Peter Hall had the equally villainous idea that we should all, everybody who participated during the day, should take the final curtain call at 11 o'clock at night. Now, I had nothing to do, and some of my colleagues hadn't either, between dying at 4:30 and 11 o'clock at night. So we used to, 3 of us regularly went off for rather a good dinner. And I must admit, we had rather a splendid time, and a little too much was enjoyed by all. We then had to come back into the dressing room at about 11:15 and start putting on makeup again, which is not very nice, you know, putting on the makeup and the costume. But again, thank goodness they had placed us, but each of us had been placed between members of the company who'd been working that night, because as we took our bow, we were inclined to... and we were sort of held up tight. Yeah.
The total running costs for the RSC are now over £6.5 million a year. During its time at the Aldwych, the RSC has staged 228 London productions, including 66 Shakespeare plays.
From a sentimental point of view, yes, but, you know, you have to move forward, and I think it's a good thing that we are.
Alan, regrets?
Yes, I suppose a little bit. I mean, there's always something about old houses which take a very long time. They say that the actual dust and time in a house, rather like a kind of cheese or a wine or something, matures in a peculiar way. There's an acoustic, apparently, which you can get in old houses, which is to do with the dust that is all around the building. And that takes ages for a new house to get its dust. And so I suppose that's the only thing that is slightly, you know...
Missed the dust.
Well, missed the dust.
I'm extremely saddened that we are leaving here. And I'm one of those silly actors. I would like to have spoken the last words in this theatre and the first words in the Barbican, you know, to carry it on.
If the Royal Shakespeare Company doesn't get the money it needs to run as you have outlined, what happens?
What happens to a car if it's run out of petrol? It stops. You don't improve the running of the car by taking off one of the wheels if it has no petrol. You don't improve it by changing the seats, so that no part of the car or the removal of the car will actually overcome the fact that it has no petrol. That is basically the situation of the RSC. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to try and raise the money. Every year we have managed to overcome our own crises, and we are at this moment having very good and very fruitful, very generous conversations with the Arts Council in the hope that we can build up that necessary base level so that we can continue over the next few years.
Are you going to get the money, though?
Well, we haven't failed so far.
You haven't got it yet, though, have you?
But we haven't got it yet.
That report by Alan Hargreaves.